Good morning, evening, family. I'm your friendly announcer, and I've got some serious news to pass on to everybody. And what I'm about to say could mean the world's disaster. It could turn your joy and laughter to tears and pain. It's that love is in need of love today. So don't delay. Send yours in right away. Hey, 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 blowing round. It's breaking many hearts. Dun, dun. You gotta stop it, please, because it's gone too far. Mm, mm. Oh, oh, oh. Hey, y'all. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening, family. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mental House. I am your host, Khadijah. Um, Let me give a shout out to the Cleveland Cavaliers for what is it, a 54-year drought or something? And LeBron James. Wow, any of y'all like basketball and you watched the series, the finals? It was incredible. So I want to give a shout out to them boys. They played basketball. I mean it. And although I was going with the Golden State Warriors, because yes, I am an authentic LeBron James hater. You couldn't help but love him in this series. I mean, and he deserves his respect. Respect LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, this subject that I'm going to talk about was really inspired by another YouTuber who was talking about narcissistic in-laws and the things that they do to each other, uh, and how when you really don't know what this stuff is, um, it's very very easy to think this, something is wrong, but you don't know what it is, and most of the time you think something is wrong with you, especially if you're an empathetic person, like I happen to be. But with that being said, I thought about a serious narcissistic uh, relative story that I thought was just the ultimate cruelty, and I want to share it with y'all. Um, I have a great aunt who passed away. It was my father's aunt. And my father used to live with her, I guess, before he got married. So she was childless. She didn't have any children. And my father was sort of like, her, which was her nephew. It was sort of like her child. And of course, remember I told you my father's people are all these religious people and stuff like that. All pastors, evangelists, bishops, whatever. So he went to go live with her, and he was a little preaching little thing. And of course, everybody loved him because he sang and preached all over. I would say sang and danced. Yeah, he did dance too. But anyway, he decided to get married to my mother, and I guess the aunt didn't like it very much, but there was nothing she could do about it. All right, voila! Here comes us. We come along, and my father has about 17 siblings. I think over in Indiana, Gary to be specific. So, um, my great aunt, who I was very close to, um, and I think I shared in one. This is the aunt I think I shared in one of the of previous videos a long time ago that she used to work for a family. She was the mammy. I like a maid mammy, raised the kids to a real prominent food chain family here in the town that I live in, and she was their maid, and she used to take me to help her. And I still feel guilty to this day because I stole some things from the people's house that she worked in, and they I mean they I got caught, of course, and it was embarrassing to her, and I really felt bad about that because I didn't even steal the stuff because I wanted it. I stole it because somehow psychologically I was angry that my aunt was dismayed. You know what I'm saying? But it did. Listen, I've regressed. I've digressed. Let me go to the story at hand. Anyway, my aunt got sick and she passed away. And in her passing away, the relatives that were blood relatives who never came to see her when she was here because we lived in the city with her, they know, like a lot of you young people don't know that back in the day a lot of older people didn't put their money in banks. So my aunt had bags and bags and shopping bags full of cash. I mean thousands and thousands of dollars actually. um and so of course they knew it, and so when she passed away they all came from Indiana and they raided her house while she was in a hospital actually, but they didn't find the money because she had given the money to my mother and my older brother. Uh, and she told them to take this money. She told her to take this money, and for my mother to bury her with the money and whatever else. I wasn't privy to the information because again I was a kid. I was a young teen. Alrighty. Fast forward to these people looking for the money in the house and they couldn't find it. Lo and behold, they realized that, you know what, that daughter-in-law, that niece, our brother's wife must have the money. Well, she didn't rob my great aunt. My great aunt gave it to her. She didn't give it to anybody in Indiana. And so most of you guys know how narcs are about the money. So my mother wasn't giving it up, and their narcissistic behavior wouldn't allow them to forget it. Okay, so it was just a big thing going on. I had no idea what the dynamics were. So flash forward to after the funeral. There's an uncle that I'm very close with, and I thought, which is my father's younger brother, one of his younger brothers, and he always seemed to love me very much. And um, in fact, it was through him that I met the most of my relatives because my father didn't take us over there very much. He was estranged from all his family members. You know, I don't. He went. No, he was no contact. Okay, put it like that. So the uncle that I did, because I didn't know, and I wanted to know my relatives over there, and he was the one that would always make this way for me to go over there and meet the other relatives who my dad so wow, he so adamantly tried to keep me away from. Anyway, to make a long story short, my uncle lured me to go to Indiana on the premise that yeah, we're going to continue to grieve for our aunt, and a lot of your relatives didn't know you guys from Milwaukee, and so how about you guys come on over, when you come over, and we're going to finish this mourning and whatever they do. And me being young, I was like, okay, well, I don't remember who told me not to go. I think somebody told me not to go. I don't really remember, but I went. Um, and when I went, it was the worst thing I could have ever thought of. All of those people, all of my dad's siblings, ganged up on me. They began to attack me, verbally assassinate my mother's character and me, and the funeral arrangements and which none of these things I had anything to do with, but they began to literally just uh, pretty much assassinate my mother's character and me right there, while my uncle sat there and did nothing. And I was a child, and these were all people in their, at least in their 40s and 50s, and it was horrible. And I felt stuck because I'd come over with my uncle. When they rolled back, I came over with him. So of course he wanted me to get this tirade. So he certainly wasn't gonna pick me up and tell his siblings to stop. So I started crying, and I started crying so profusely I couldn't stop, to the point where I think they got scared because I didn't really know these people, and I had love for them, and I had so much love overwhelmed. I wanted to belong to somebody else. Um, Maybe I thought they were gonna give me some of the attention that I wanted. I don't know. Um, but what they did give me was venom, venom, venom. And after I was on the ropes like a prize fighter, and I couldn't even hang on, I think if they would have gave me one more punch, I would have probably been out. It was only then that my uncle decided to pull all the dogs off. He said, "Okay, you guys can leave her alone now." And when I went back home, eventually, because I was like in shock, I think I went home on a bus. And when I told my mother this story, um, yeah, she was hurt. Well, she was a little angry, but she never confronted them. She didn't confront him at all. And I think about that because had that happened to my daughter or my child or my son or anybody, and I knew that those relatives attacked them that way, yeah, they would have got a phone call from me. And to think of them to be so narcissistic that they would attack me because they couldn't get my mother is really insane. And I think with a lot of stuff like that happening, and a lot of stuff like that with me accepting as normal behavior, wow, it just set me up for a lot of things that I accepted in my life that was mistreatment, and they have direct results of right in incidents like that, because the incidents are never addressed, they're never confronted. Nobody is ever saying, "Hey, what the hell did you do? And what the hell is wrong? Why would you attack somebody's kid?" And what? So I kind of went grew to think some of that stuff was normal, and that's what you're supposed to do. And oh well, forgive them. At least I got out of it. But let's not. And again, this is just a family full of narcs. And I just thought I'd share that narcissistic story because how many people are out there right now, accepting crazy behavior that they think is normal? Or they're the black sheep of the family and somebody is talking to them with no respect, and they have a dynamic in the family, because every family has it, where they treat one like shit, they treat one like gold, they treat one of them like it's invisible. And all these things shape our personalities as we get older. It's just really programming. And we got to get up under the program. Right? Just thought I'd share that with y'all today. Because it was something that, again, that was inspired when another YouTuber talked about narcissistic in-laws. And I was like, wow. And uncles and her story was similar. How they would mistreat her, how they mistreat her. It's just insane. You know, people that invite you to a party and tell you the party is going to be start at 1 o'clock, and you get there at 1, and they've been there at 10. That kind of stuff. All right, you guys. You like what you hear? Please subscribe, and we'll talk next time in the mental house. Bye bye.